Good morning, everybody. Here I am. It's not Monday. Sure do feel like it. And I guess it should, since yesterday was one of them holy days. I don't know. I'd love to be able to tell you that everything's rosy, everything's lovely, there's no problems, nothing's going down. This is a wonderful thing, and we just should be the happiest people on earth. But the Apostle Paul thought differently. And I think like he does. I want to because I believe he had the mind of Christ. And I believe if you're born of the Spirit, you've got the mind of Christ. If I'm born of the Spirit, I have the mind of Christ. And he said quite plainly, if in this life only we have hope, we're of all men most miserable. We're of all men most miserable if our hope is only in things in this life. I don't think that, well, morning. I think for the most part, y'all understand that. I don't need to do much explaining on it, do I? This life, the one we're now living in the flesh, the one that we're now living not by our faith. And I can hear something about it now. Say, well, the scripture says the just shall live by faith. Yes, it does. Aren't you glad that it doesn't say the just shall live by his own faith? Well, don't you believe you have faith? I hope I have faith. I believe I have faith. I hope it's real faith. What do you mean by that? Well, it's real simple. Paul says there's three things that remain: faith, hope, and love. Now, if in this life only we have hope, we're of all men most miserable. Can we, by implication, exchange that word hope for faith? If in this life only we have faith, we're of all men most miserable. And can we do the same for love? If in this life only we have love, we're of all men most miserable. See, Paul's not talking about the life that we're having on this earth, the life that Jesus said when he said, look, you're not of the world. And I can see in my mind's eye those disciples kind of looking aside at one another, thinking, what in the world does he mean by that? You're in the world, but you're not of it. And nothing has changed for the disciples of Christ. We are in this world, but we are not of this world. I know probably 50% of y'all get tired of me quoting this scripture almost every time I get on here. I have to tell you something, friends and brethren. I have to tell you something, brothers and sisters. I have to tell you something, enemies of the truth. When it was revealed to me what the scripture said, and I don't know how many times I'd read it, but I didn't understand what scripture is that. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, that which is born of the spirit is spirit. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand there were two men inhabiting a vessel, an old man and a new man, a fleshy man and a spiritual man, an earthly man and a heavenly man. All of those are terms by which these are described. I was a good Arminian and believed that that which was born again, didn't know the significance of that, was actually born from above, had to be what was born the first time. I was as ignorant as Nicodemus. But he said, this man crawled back in his mother's womb the second time. How man gonna be born again? How's man gonna be born again? With men, it's impossible. But with God, all things are possible. Excuse me. What am I getting at here? Well, where'd it go? Morning. Oh, you're in the world, so that's where you were born into by nature. How long you gonna be in the world? Till you die. Or the Lord takes you away. Ain't talking about no rapture either. Conglomerate called the election of grace or the elect. He loved each and every member of it. He loved Paul. He loved Saul of Tarsus. Don't you believe that? Let me ask you a question. Was there ever a time when he didn't love Saul of Tarsus? Well, now, Saul was out there raising havoc with the congregation, hauling believers into prison, persecuting them. Don't you think God would hate a man who did that? No. Not if he loved him before the foundation of the world. Do you believe God changes? Yes, because prayer changes things. That's the workmonger in you. And it's the way of the world. We know better, don't we? What do we know better? We know that in him is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. We know that he loved Jacob and hated Esau before the children were born, before they ever did any good or evil. And I'll go so far as to say we could just extrapolate that and say he loved every one of the elect with the same love with which he loved Jacob. As one. Two, he hated the non elect with the very same hatred with which he hated Esau. Oh, I can't believe God would hate anybody. Well, read the scripture. Do you believe he loved Jesus, Judas Iscariot? Why would it have been better for that man if he'd never been born? Have I not chosen 12 of you, Jesus said? He did. And one of you is the devil. What obvious deceiver? Enemy. Excuse me. Goodness. Judas was greedy. He had the bag. Listen, if Judas was a devil when Jesus made that statement, he was the devil beforehand and he was the devil afterwards. I have no confidence in anyone who would say that God loved Judas as much as he loved Saul of Tarsus. God loved him. Why did the devil enter into him and he betrayed the Son of God? Betray his master, his Lord, the holy, undefiled, spotless one. You want the things of this life. Well, you give me if I betray him unto you. 30 pieces of silver, I'll take it. With the old Wilbur Lee and Stony Cooper song, 30 pieces of silver, 30 pieces of shame. You didn't look at it that way. One more thing here. Two disciples on the road to Emmaus. Why are you saying? Stranger joined himself to him. What you talking about? Man, are you new around here? They crucified Jesus 3 days ago. Jesus? Yes. Who's he? Man, you must be totally ignorant or just come in the country. He's one we thought would liberate Israel, set us free. Instead, he died. He showed them from the scripture the Messiah, the Christ, must suffer these things. He didn't give them some kind of new revelation. He showed them from the scriptures of the Old Testament what had to have happened, the prophecies that must be fulfilled. Think not that I'm come to destroy the law and the prophets. I've not come to destroy them. No, I've come to fulfill them. And he did, every one of them, both the law and the prophets. We're not waiting for the Feast of Trumpets to be fulfilled. No, we're not. Some of this stuff people talk about. Oh, forgive me, Lord, for listening to some of it. But anyway, if in this life only we have hope. It was a big saying when I first made profession and was around a lot of believers. Oh, if heaven's just a myth, it's still worth it all. Paul didn't say that. He said, if in this life we have hope. If all there is in this life, we're of all men most miserable. No, our hope is Jesus and what he's done. Our hope is Jesus indwelling us. Our hope is that the life that we're now living in the flesh is being lived by his faith. A faith that is perfect, can't be broken. A faith that's real. It's not in anything other than in the mercy and power of God himself. And he spoke, and it was done. He commanded. It stood fast. And that all of those speakings and all of those commandings, whatever they might be, were not were not for anything other than the good of his chosen ones. I want to say this before I quit this morning. We talk about the elect or the election of grace, and rightly so. But let's not forget something. The elect is made up of individuals. The elect is made up of individuals. And Jesus loved every one of them individually. He loved Saul just as much when Saul was raising havoc amongst the congregations as he did when he was preaching the gospel at Corinth or Athens or anywhere else. I think it's important to realize that that is why Christ is revealed to us. If he's been revealed to you, it's because he loved you. If he loved you, loved you with an everlasting love. His loving kindness cannot, shall not, and will not be taken from you. He's with you forever. We tend, at least I do, I tend to forget it, seemingly. Well, I think that's it for today. Hope you had a pleasant holiday weekend. Hope the Lord bless you. Hope He give you strength and peace, comfort. And I pray that He'd show us again the greatness of his power, his majesty, and more than that, his saving grace. And if God wills, I'll see you tomorrow. And I thank you for your attention.